Expansion has indeed initiated and price action has in fact reacted in a positive manner. Earlier time frame expansion is now cascading into larger time frames, which would entail larger moves to the upside. And we have just a historical volatility backtest for that. Welcome back to the channel on this Taco Tuesday. This is ARCa, and let's dive into ticker symbol ASRE. What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by once again. Let's go ahead and take a look at ASRE right over here. Okay, so what we are looking at here is the 4-hour chart, and we're going to observe the ARQ indicators right now. This is the balancer indicator telling us what the next resistance level could be. And I have to admit, and I do have to say, hold on just a second. Let me just turn this down a little bit. Okay, yeah, and I do have to say that the target here is really confluent to a lot of things that we've already been talking about, right? So this is balancer telling us that 4670 would be our next resistance range. Okay, so a couple things we need to notice here. Okay, we have a inclining volume, right? Check this out. Actually, you know what? We can actually put it right from over here. There we go. So yeah, we have a clean regression here on volume ascending, right? That paired with ascending price action, that's usually bull territory. Next thing we want to notice is that volume is now upside of the moving average, which, this kind of is going to signal a lot of day traders to come in and rail the thing to the upside. So it's looking pretty positive in that manner too. All right, so next thing that we want to notice here is the fact that we're already pushing the bounds of the standard deviation, right? So here, the 4207, or, the top side of this, what was it? That was a 4190. Right, so that 4190 was already kind of looked at because of several candles. In fact, we could adjust it just a little bit to around 4306. But what's happening here is that now we're moving upside of the 4-hour VWAP, which is the volume weighted average price, and now there's a chance that we can get a little slight pullback to maybe around 39 before continuing on to the upside and eventually reaching the target of about 4670. We're going to go ahead and touch on those targets again because you guys must know that those targets were already something that we were observing, right? So particularly to this here, this is the 5-day historical volatility versus momentum backtest. And as you can see here, we were already pointing at the fact that we had a very nice hammer candle here, and the fact that we also had the confirmation candle for this hammer already printing in the green, right? So please notice that we're currently sitting here at the traditional market hours, 40 cents dead on the money, and we had a top side, of course, of 4190, right? So based on this backtest, though, the criteria is this. Anytime that volatility has contracted to this critical zone, which is within the 15th percentile of volatility represented by this indicator, BBWP, in a linear fashion, instead of, rather than actually being displayed like Bollinger Bands, which is the cloud around the price action, right? So in this way, we can actually gain a metric out of volatility and understand where the probabilities can be regarding an expansion phase or a contraction phase. So mathematically speaking, anytime that we are within contraction, we're set to make an expansion phase out of that, and inversely true as well from expansion into contraction. Okay, so in this case, we measured every time that volatility has expanded, particularly outside of the 15th percentile with the moving average and the volatility component, the spectrum line here. And I've paired that with actually momentum. And throughout the entire trading history of the ASRE asset on a 5-day time frame, there have been very little iterations, but all of which have led to some significant upsides, right? So, I'm measuring the duration of the iteration, the upside thrust, and the amount of times that volatility versus momentum have guessed the upside correctly versus incorrectly. As you can see here, there has not been a guess that has been incorrect thus far, but you can only imagine that there's only 7 out of 7 times here, right? So with more iteration, there's going to be a chance of variable or variance, right? So in this case, yeah, we have a total of 7 iterations, of which 7 were guessed correctly to the upside. The upside accuracy, of course, is 100%. So the mean or the average upside thrust is coming out to 435 spot, 88% to the upside based on the criteria being met. And over the span of about 21 spot 14 days. Now, I did calculate the standard deviation here, which is the 68% of the results, the bell curve, right? The distribution curve. So please notice here that 68% of the results are landing at 875 spots, 17%. And the upper bound of the first standard deviation is landing at about 1,311%. And those are percentages to the upside. Those are values that we should entertain as a possibility while the criteria is met, right? So if this volatility reaches the critical expansion zone, then that would be the end of this move here. And inversely, if it does come back down immediately into the contraction zone, then this iteration would be done, right? So as long as we are between the expansion and the contraction zone, that's kind of what matters here, right? So so let's go ahead and observe the first target. That's the 435 spot, 88%, which is the mean. So that is taking us, that's my little guy coming in here, right? So that is taking us to a target of about 5044, right? So what I did here is that I actually brought the price action just a little bit downward here because the 1 spot 618 golden mean is confluent with it, right? So please notice here that it is 4710. And that is why that target sounds so familiar, the one that we're speaking of right over here, 4670. And we're already talking about the 1 spot 618 located right at 4710, right? So there's a lot of rhyming here. And I have been talking about these targets for quite some time now, for a few weeks at least. Right, so everything is looking good, and I do suspect that this is going to continue to the upside even still. Please notice here that the 5-day time frame, this candle has 18 hours and 48 minutes, 53 seconds, and counting to close, which would then leave us with a pretty nice opportunity here because that would be the validation candle in green for this hammer candle here. That would entail a continuation to the upside. Usually when you get a hammer candle like this, the following candle would be the validator before a continuation to the upside. And it's looking pretty positive right now. And it's looking like it's pretty much going to happen. Now, you may be asking yourself, or asking me like, ARCa, well, look at your stochastic momentum is pivoted towards the downside, or you're not. And I'm just being overcritical here. But there's a little trick that we can do here in order for us to see what that earlier reflection is regarding the exponential moving average 3-period and the 14-period simple moving average, right? So what we can do here is shave off of the D%, which is the exponential moving average. So we're going to change that to a 1-period, meaning a 1-day look back with a smoothing factor of 1. So we're going to get it to react as fast as possible, right? So please notice here that we actually do have an upside pivot, and this could be the early reflection into what we can be seeing upon the closure of this 5-day candle in 18 hours and 47 minutes now. That should be done by tomorrow market close. So the actual effect that we're going to see should be reflective on the following day at market open. And but it's looking very powerful here nonetheless. Next chart that we want to look at here is actually the distribution chart for the Wyckoff strategy that we put together, right? So just know for a fact that I am not one to practice Wyckoff theory or Elliott wave or anything like that. But during my studies, during my time of training for trading, I did gather some knowledge here in order for me to be able to identify a play when and if it is possible. And this is one of the very, very few times that I've noticed that there is a distribution phase or a reaccumulation phase happening, right? So yeah, please notice here that this is what we're looking at here. Let me just go ahead and block the visibility here on the price action so that you can see what what this kind of looks like, right? So yeah, it's I'm starting it from this point here. So this point right here, right into this. And then we get the terminal shakeout or the spring before that massive upside, right? And then we have even the ordinary shakeout right on top over there. So let's just go ahead and pair that up. And you can see right in there, right? That we have that ordinary shakeout right down here. We have the retest right over here. And then we have the continuation to the upside. So ordinary shakeout, retest, upside continuation. So we're going to go ahead and continue observing the price action as the days go by, because of course this is a little dangerous for us to just rely on something that's based around psychological properties only, right? I don't really like to do that, but it's strong enough that retail believes that it's happening. So, it's probably going to continue as such. We even have the regression here as far as Head and Shoulders is concerned, right? You can see a clear regression here too. It's pretty dead on. It looks pretty good, right? So let's go ahead and now move on to the next chart and see what we have, right? Okay, so the 4-hour time frame here. In other words, I'm going to go ahead and take this area here. Let me just highlight it, right? This area here, and we're just going to zoom in to that, right, for this next chart. So here we go. All right, so yeah, we want to go ahead and take a look at this 4-hour time frame. Bullish engulfing has been printed here. Usually the bullish engulfing candles would be, or the bullish engulfing formation, which is a larger green candle engulfing the prior red candle. They usually are more effective when they are printed at the, at the bottom, right after a downtrend. So that would signal a reversal here. So the fact that we're getting it up here doesn't really make it a bullish engulfing, but still you can't help but to notice that it did engulf the previous red candle. Next thing that we want to notice here within this chart is that we have a clean break of the EMA 9 and the EMA 55 over the EMA 21. And that, that's looking pretty good. I'm sorry. What I meant is the EMA 21 is crossing right now, right? The EMA 55. So when you have the slower time frame, when you have the shorter time frame crossing over the slower time frame, that usually means that it's a pretty bullish crossover. In this case, EMA 21 over the EMA 55 is a silver cross, and it is suggesting a continuation to the upside. EMA 9 is actually leading that way and looking very positive. One more very, very, very bullish thing to look at here is actually the SMA 50. Please notice how we've closed the two 4-hour candles upside of the SMA 50 now. So that's it's pretty close to an 8-hour iteration here, validating your SMA 50 on a 4-hour time frame. So I am very much a fan of that. Next thing we want to do here is actually take a look at volatility versus momentum starting from the 4-hour time frame. You know what? Let's just go ahead and start it off with the 30-minute. 30-minute time frame is indicating that potential pullback. We already spoke of that. This is what we were saying about pulling back to the area of about 39 cents before continuing on to the upside. And it looks like the oh man, it's already corrective. It's already pivoting towards the upside. All right, so yeah, that pullback may be very, very short-lived, and we just have to observe price action. There's nothing indicating that there could be a pullback, but the same situation happened today, where I said that if we're going to face a pullback, we would likely face it right down to this area here, right? So we did, and we got that pullback, and now price action is continuing on to the upside. Okay, so but yeah, as far as the 30-minute time frame volatility, that's the only one that's really showing any type of pullback here. But to tell you the truth, it looks more like consolidation than anything else. And I mean, the RSI is kind of telling you that too, right? The only difference here is that the RSI is located in the bullish control zone and also in the gravitational zone of the bull strength percentile, and it's already bouncing from that SMA 14. So this upside here is highly likely going to happen. So by hourly time frame, we still have this corrective pivot here on stochastics, expanding volatility, very positive looking MACD, and in the gravitational zone of the bull strength percentile on the RSI. Let's go to the 4-hour time frame. 4-hour time frame is absolutely erect. Please notice here that we have expanding volatility as well, and we have an absolute rocket ship here out of the RSI. MACD looking very good too. We have a very a nice bullish crossover there. And take a look at your stochastic momentum versus money flow index. Your histogram is representing cash flow. So this is actually cash positive right now. Lots of cash diving into the asset as we go. So let's look at the 8-hour time frame. 8-hour time frame. Yep, a very nice similar pivot to the 4-hour. Expanding volatility, about to move upside of the 15 percentile. A whole setup right here too. I'm talking about a statistical setup. And to validate this statistical setup would be the DMI. Please notice here that the DMI is sitting at a very, very nice and comfortable 28% of the ADX, the average directional index, and the DMI plus is absolutely leading the way and crossing over the bears. Right. So whenever we do have this ADX sitting at 25% minimum, that's already suggesting a strong market trend to whoever is leading the way. In this case, DMI plus, aka the bulls. Okay, so actually that's one more thing that we can look at here regarding the ARQ indicators. So if you are interested into acquiring these indicators, please get in touch with us at arqindicators@gmail.com. And this is actually DBSI telling us that on the 4-hour time frame, which we just passed, 86% bull lead right now over the bears at 14%. This is very bullish, very, very bullish. And what's happening here is that we got this buy signal located right over here at about 32 cents. And when you get these X's right after a buy signal, that usually means that there's a consolidation phase before a reversal entirely to the upside. It is proving accurate and still suggesting that upside. So I'm very much a fan over what's happening here. And yeah, so let's go ahead and go back to that volatility versus momentum here. And let's move on to the 12-hour time frame. 12-hour time frame also looking very, very nice. I don't like the fact that it's a huge hammer candle up here, right? It's kind of like an evening star. But I mean, regardless of the fact, please notice here that we have a straight upside pivot here, barely starting, clear diminishing bear pressure, and we're about to get a bullish crossover here. And take a look at this very rare signal here printed from the SMI versus MFI. That signal does not appear too often. Please notice that the last time we got a signal that appeared was in February 2020, and this was actually a buy signal. So this is, and it does have sell signals too, right? So you can see here that it has not suggested buy or sell for the better part of about 3 years, and we just got the first print of a buy signal here. This is absolutely powerful, and definitely we have the oh man, the ADX is about to reach 30%, and we have the DMI plus crossing over the bears right now. Team, this is very, very bullish and highly likely to continue on to the upside. I would pay attention to this as you move on. Okay, so daily time frame here. Also looking very, very nice. Upside pivot here. We have a critical contraction volatility. It's only a matter of time before the shorter terms really cascade into the larger term timeframes, just like we said in the introduction, right? So yeah, but volatility is already expanding all the way up to the 8-hour now. So it's only a matter of time before we get the 12 daily, bi-daily, and 3-day volatility reads to go to the upside. This is very powerful, team. I do expect a target of around 47.10 to 50.44 in the coming days, maybe even tomorrow. Who knows, right? So let's just go ahead and keep observing price action here, as these targets here are very, very likely for us to achieve. Notice here the bi-daily time frame reversion variant. These are the Bollinger Bands, right? So we've already crossed the mean, and we're already suggesting a continuation to the upside, and look at where that upside is located, right? So go ahead and notice, I'm going to adjust it just ever so slightly here to really favor that top side right there. Notice the target, 47.26. We are speaking of 47.10 already. Looking very, very positive here, team. I absolutely like what we're doing here, and I do see an upside continuation here. I don't even think we have to talk about the RSI. Please note, please notice that the RSI is just pivoted to the upside on almost every single time frame here, looking absolutely positive, right? So the only type of pullback that I'm noticing here is potentially the bi-daily time frame, and this is very likely going to be the pullback that we can face when we reach that target of 47.10 to 50.44 in the short-term time frame. All right, team. So I think that's pretty good here. I think you have all the information, and it's looking okay. All right, so